It started on a Tuesday morning, the kind of day that feels too calm right before a storm. The doorbell rang 3 times, quick, sharp, and impatient. I didn't need to look to know who it was. My son, Ryan, only showed up unannounced when something was wrong. Through the window, I saw his black SUV parked sideways in my driveway. He walked in without even waiting for me to open the door fully, phone in one hand, a thick brown envelope in the other. "Mom, we need to talk." No hug, no hello, just those words. He sat in the kitchen, my chair, and said, "Coffee would be good." I made it automatically, like muscle memory from a lifetime of serving others. When he finally looked up, his face was tight. "Jess made a mistake. She invested with the wrong people. We owe $300,000. I felt my stomach twist. "Ryan, that's everything I have." He took a long sip of coffee and said softly, "You're not broke, Mom. You've got this house, your savings. You don't need all that money sitting around." He said it like it was just business, like I was his safety net, not my mother. Before the end of the day, the transfer was done. My account read 0. That night, they came back, and I was gone. Only an envelope sat on the table. Inside it, a note that made Ryan's face go pale. What did the note say, and where did I go? Let's go back 6 hours. After Ryan left, I sat staring at that brown envelope and the quiet kitchen that suddenly felt like a stranger's home. I'd spent my whole life taking care of men, first my husband, then my son, and somehow both had learned how to take everything from me with a smile. I called Sarah, my college roommate, now a lawyer. She was at my house in 20 minutes. When she saw the papers, she shook her head. "Helen, this is manipulation. You have to stop saving him." "I can't just watch him fall," I whispered. "You already did, and he dragged you down with him." That was the first time I heard my own voice say, "Then help me leave." Within the hour, we made a plan, transfer what's left, close every account, disappear before Ryan returned. I packed one small suitcase, clothes, medicine, my late mother's photo, and a few secret dollars I had hidden from Edward, my husband, years ago. Before leaving, I wrote a single note and placed it on the kitchen table. I'm not the one who disappointed anyone. This time, I'm saving myself. But freedom doesn't come without a cost, and I was about to learn that. By afternoon, Sarah and I were on a flight to Miami. I hadn't been on a plane in over a decade. The clouds outside looked like blank pages waiting for a new story. Sarah's condo was small, but the ocean view made me feel alive again. For the first time in years, I slept without the sound of someone else's demands echoing in my head. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. 14 missed calls from Ryan. Messages flipped between begging and threatening. "Mom, you can't do this. You'll regret it." Sarah advised me to ignore him. Instead, we started my new life. New bank, new address, new number. Days later, she told me what happened when Ryan showed up at her office, yelling, slamming her desk, demanding to know where I was. She told him calmly, "Helen's finally doing what you never let her do. Think for herself." He turned red with anger. That night, I sat on the balcony and whispered to the sea, "I'm not running from him. I'm running toward myself." But the past doesn't let go that easily, especially when it owes money. Weeks passed. I began selling embroidery at local markets, trying to rebuild a quiet life. Then one afternoon, there was a knock on my apartment door. "Mrs. Miller?" A woman flashed a badge. "Detective Lopez, we need to talk about your son." My heart sank. Ryan was being investigated for fraud, forgery, and ties to illegal lenders. She asked if I'd signed any papers for him. "Yes, a few years ago," I admitted. "He said it was for emergencies." The detective nodded slowly. "Those accounts were in your name." My legs nearly gave out. He hadn't just used me, he'd stolen my identity. As I tried to process it, my phone lit up with a message from Jess, my daughter-in-law. "He's losing it. The kids are scared. I don't know how to leave." I called her immediately. "Then let me help you," I said, "not with money, but with a way out." Helping her meant facing the same monster I'd just escaped. With the detective's help, Jess and the kids were moved into protective housing after Ryan's arrest. For the first time, I slept knowing they were safe. But the story didn't end there. Ryan used his one phone call to threaten me, indirectly. He'd hired someone to send a message. The police decided to set a trap. I would act normal while undercover officers kept watch. 3 days later, the man appeared. Ordinary, quiet, eyes full of guilt. He knocked. "Mrs. Miller, message from your son." Before he could move, officers swarmed the hallway. He surrendered without a fight. Later, Detective Lopez told me he admitted Ryan offered him $5,000 to scare you, not kill, but enough that you'd never feel safe again. That night, I realized Ryan didn't just want money anymore. He wanted control, even from behind bars. I had one last thing to do: look him in the eyes and end it myself. The prison visiting room was cold and smelled of bleach. Ryan sat across the glass, thinner, eyes hard. "Mom," he said, "you don't understand." "No," I interrupted, "you don't. I'm not your bank, your backup, or your excuse." His jaw tightened. "You think this is over? You'll be nothing without me." "I already was nothing because of you," I said. "Now I'm free." As guards led him away, he spat. "You'll regret this." But I didn't. I walked outside into sunlight so bright it hurt my eyes, but it felt like truth. 6 months later, I had a small apartment, a growing craft business, and even students learning embroidery from me. Jessica and the kids had started visiting. We were healing, slowly, like new plants after a storm. But peace doesn't last forever, especially when the past starts writing letters.
A year passed. Then a letter arrived. Neat handwriting. Prison address. "Mom, I'm not asking forgiveness," it said, "but I'm learning. I see what I became." I didn't know whether to believe him. I brought the letter to therapy. Yes, therapy. Something I never thought I'd do. My counselor said, "You can accept his effort without inviting him back into your life." Months later came another letter, formal this time. "Mrs. Miller, I'll be transferred to a work release program near Miami. I won't contact you unless you allow it." For once, he respected a boundary. One afternoon, I passed the city plaza and saw him working, planting trees under the sun, supervised. He didn't look up, but I saw something I'd never seen before: humility. The next week, I left a small box at the community center, gardening gloves, good tools, no note. He never replied. until the day he walked into a room full of women and heard my voice.
2 years after I ran away, I was giving a speech at Reborn, a nonprofit I'd started to help women rebuild after financial abuse. My name is Helen Miller, I began. At 70, I'm finally learning who I am when no one else is speaking for me. Halfway through my talk, I noticed a man standing at the back, Ryan, listening, quiet. When the speech ended, the audience applauded. He waited until the room emptied, then walked up slowly. "Hi," he said. "That was powerful." We talked for a few minutes. Awkward, careful, human. He thanked me for approving his work program. I invited him carefully for coffee, public place, no promises. We met once more that week. No begging, no manipulation, just conversation. He spoke about rebuilding himself from the ground up, just like the park he was restoring. When we said goodbye, I realized forgiveness isn't a moment, it's a daily choice. And maybe that's enough. That night, Sarah came by with a bottle of wine. 3 years free, she toasted. To courage, I said. To Helen, she smiled, finally living her own story. As the sun set over Miami, I wrote my last journal line of the night. It wasn't losing everything that broke me. It was losing myself. And finding her again was worth every dollar. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge is peace.